Much of this footage you are about to see has never been seen before by the public. UFOs have been in the news more and more lately, and now they tend to call them UAPs. Though, if you go to the communities who are extra passionate about this subject and who have been researching it and following it for years, you will find a lot of people don't like that term, and a lot of people who are unsatisfied with the official story. It's very understandable, in my opinion, considering how the topic has been handled by the so-called authorities and the masses for so long. The atmosphere has been highly secretive, and also many people have been slandered, publicly humiliated, and worse for merely expressing their beliefs or what they have seen. Things have changed a lot since I was growing up, and it's a lot more socially acceptable to talk about this kind of stuff now, but there's still often a heavy stigma attached to this issue. And we don't pretend to know what the truth is here, but over the years, our family has had a lot of sightings and experiences, and we would like to share some of them. Hello, my name is Paul, and me and my parents do the Grateful Adventures channel. On this episode, we're going to be talking about UFOs and aliens and weird paranormal stuff. So, I wanted to talk about some of my personal experiences that I've had over the years. And I've pretty much always been interested in aliens and UFOs since I can remember. So it wasn't until around 2009, I believe, when me and my father were out filming, because we're nature photographers, and we saw these really beautiful rainbow iridescent clouds and started filming, and we're super excited. And then when we got home and looked at the footage, there's some weird stuff flying around. And we're used to seeing planes and helicopters and birds and bugs, and this did not look like any of those to us. So, not too long after that, I learned about this guy on YouTube who claimed to be able to summon UFOs, and apparently he summoned one live on the news in Las Vegas. It was kind of small, like a lot of our footage, but like it came down when he was trying to summon it, and then it went back up into the sky, and I was like, that looks very similar to the stuff that we filmed. So I'm a curious person, and I decided to experiment, and I tried it myself. Oh wait, first I went and I found some other videos on YouTube from a few other people who claimed to be able to summon UFOs as well. And then I went out and tried it myself, and for the first couple weeks, or maybe even the first couple months, I had zero success. But then eventually, I started seeing stuff when I was doing this. And then I started seeing more and more and more, to the point that I saw so many UFOs, I lost count. And there is also weird things associated with that. Like, a lot of times I would see them when I was having very powerful thoughts, like powerful emotions. Like when I was thinking about some of the women that I had fallen in love with, or when I was thinking about how corrupt the world is and like how we need to change our path for future generations, because things are really, messed up in a lot of ways. And it was when I would have these really powerful thoughts, a lot of times associated with love, that I would see these things like come down and then go back up and disappear, or just, fly by. And they weren't shooting stars. I mean, sometimes they were meteors, or at least they seemed like that, but a lot of them you could tell were not the typical kind of, it would just fly across the sky. They would like come down and hover for a few moments and then like disappear or fly back up. And I just got more and more intrigued and fascinated and kept doing it, to the point that I truly believe that I feel like I can say that I know something is going on up there. I don't know what they are, if they're aliens or time travelers or angels or top secret government experimental craft. Maybe it's a combination of all those things. I don't know. I just feel like I can say that I know that there is really something going on up there. One other thing that I wanted to say is that I wonder if it's like this all over the planet, or if like Sedona is a hotspot. And I've heard a number of people say that they think that Sedona is like the #1 hotspot in the United States, or even the whole world. So I also have to wonder if maybe the ancient people, the Native Americans, if they saw these things. And we found a lot of interesting petroglyphs, other people have as well. And I've actually done a lot of research on the subject, and mainstream archaeology will say that's woo-woo and, but I've seen a lot of actual Native Americans themselves on YouTube and elsewhere claim that they really do believe in the star people and that that's a real thing in their culture. And I've even heard some of them say that they think if you meet the star people, that it's a great honor. And that's always in the back of my mind. And I still haven't met any yet, as far as I know. But I just gotta wonder. And I'm not saying they're all good, but maybe they are. There's a lot of different opinions and a lot of stories. Some of them are really negative, and some people say that they're all positive or they're all demons. And I don't think it's like all one or the other. It's probably similar to Earth, where there's like lots of different species and lots of different motivations. But maybe someday I'll get a chance to meet them, and maybe it'll be a great honor, as long as I don't get abducted and tested on and all that crazy weird stuff. So I think that's it for me for now. My parents have some of their own stories to share, and almost everyone you talk to around here has some stories of weird stuff that they've seen in the sky, or on the ground for that matter. And I think a good portion of that, if not even maybe most of it, is probably experimental military craft. But I do think that there is other stuff going on as well. And I think it's been happening for a long time. Like I said, I think even the native ancient people saw it as well. Hey Dad, thank you for doing this. Can you tell us about some of your weird and paranormal experiences?
Yeah, I would like very much to do that. These are things that I remember from many years ago that I'm reminded of every now and then, and I do enjoy telling the stories, so here it is. I want to tell a story about something that happened 43 years ago. It was in the summer of 1983. I'd only been living in Sedona for a few years, and I was doing construction work at the time. I came home from work and was relaxing in the early evening hours, and for some reason, I don't know why, I had an impulse to get up and walk out the front door. And so I went out and was standing on a little deck we had, looking up at the sky, and I saw something that was so bizarre. It was a flash of light, actually a ball of light that was moving extremely fast. Probably one of the fastest things I've ever seen. And it was up above me, and it came down like this, and kept going along the horizon till finally it was out of sight. And it happened so quick, I didn't know what to think. But what really was amazing was that there were some cirrus clouds up there. And looking up where it had originated, and it went through the cirrus clouds and burned a hole through the clouds. In other words, there was a circular area there where it had gone through this layer of cirrus clouds. And it didn't make any sound. And there again, it just flew like in a straight line over the horizon. And I don't see that it could have been a meteor. I've seen many meteors before. It didn't hit the ground that I could see. And there again, it was traveling at an incredible speed. So to this day, I still reminisce about that experience as being what I thought was a UFO at the time. And I still think that.
Hey Mom, thanks for doing this. Would you tell us about some of your weird and paranormal sorts of experiences?
Hi, Paul. I don't know that I would call these experiences weird, but they were experiences. Years ago, like more than 50, when I was in college, I was outside in the evening. It was dark. I looked up and there was this light just sitting up there. And I just kept staring at it, and it just kept sitting there. It didn't move, it didn't do anything. And I asked somebody near me what did they think that was. And they said, oh, that's probably a UFO. There tend to be a lot of sightings around this area in Colorado of what people call UFOs. And then not too long after that, it just totally disappeared. Quick, gone.
Just blasted off?
Yeah. Didn't take me though.
That's good.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here otherwise.
That's right.
I have another story that happened a few months after that in the same location. It was August of '83. It was the night my son Paul was born, and it was a home birth, and we had a woman that was coming over to help with the birth, and we called her up, and she was on her way over, and Paul was born before she arrived, and I'm the one that handled him first. But the story about her was, when she got to the house, she came in the door and she looked sort of surprised and said that on the way over to the house, that she had been followed by a UFO. And we said, well, where did that happen? And she said, well, the last few miles. And apparently it had followed, what she claimed was it had followed her for some distance. And literally, I didn't know what to think about that, but I had no reason to disbelieve her. And my son had just been born, and I thought it was a really amazing, unusual circumstance. And this happened there again a few months after I had sighted what I thought was a UFO standing out on my porch there.
Years ago, about 40, how old are you, Paul?
43, I think.
It's somewhere around 43 years ago, after Paul was born, in the morning in our home. After he came out and was there with us, I got up and looked out the door, and right across from the doorway there was this light, and it just sat there. It didn't move, and I just kept staring at it, and it just kept sitting there, and for a while. And then all of a sudden it just went boom, gone. So it obviously wasn't a plane or something like that. I think it was probably a UFO. I'm not sure what it was doing, what it was checking out. Maybe it was celebrating Paul's birthday. But it was interesting.
And then something happened the next day. You went to a market.
Wasn't Michael going to tell that?
I guess he can do it. You both can. So, was there anything else about that memory, like the Daphne coming over, or anything else that stuck out to you? Like.
No, but the next day, yes, or a few days later, we took Paul down to the local market because we wanted to weigh him and see how much he weighed. Because he was born at home, and we didn't have any scale or anything to weigh him, so we went down to the market and asked them to use their meat scale to weigh him. They said sure, and so we did. And then on our way out, there was this older man. He said, he just started talking to us, and he said, you know, your son was a UFO pilot. And he was also one of King Arthur's Round Table knights. So we thought that was very interesting. He just appeared out of nowhere, yes. And then he disappeared.
Yeah, especially because of what happened the day before. That's pretty fascinating.
That's true.
Okay, any other memories about that in regard to Daphne or anything? Like, how long did the UFO hover up there, do you think?
Long enough for me to wonder why and how it could do that. It just sat there.
And then there's something funny you usually tell about this story with Dad, like he was passed out and he was like, don't give birth right now, wait until later, or something like that.
He had worked a long day. He was a carpenter, and it's hard work. And I said, okay, I think it's time now. Paul's ready to come. And he said, can't we just wait a little longer? I'm tired. And I said, no, you'll have to talk to Paul about that. And so out he came, ready to go. Set the world on fire.
Okay, thank you very much.
This is a wild story I'm going to tell. I had a really strange experience one night, maybe 10 years ago. It was really late at night, and there was a lot of moonlight. It may have been a full moon. And I walked out of my shop downstairs and down the driveway and into the road. I don't know why. I just went out there, and I looked up the road and I saw something really strange. It was about 300 feet up the road. I noticed something moving, and it moved across the road, and it was strange the way it moved. It was grotesque, the shape of it and how it moved. It was probably 4 feet tall, and I've never seen anything like that. I don't know what it was, but it scared the heck out of me. And I still get chills when I think about it. I turn around and hurriedly went up inside the house and locked the door behind me. So there again, I have no idea what that thing was, if it was something from outer space or some other kind of phenomenon. And to this day, I still wonder.
It is kind of freaky and creepy going out by myself in the middle of the night out into the wilderness to try to contact unknown beings or entities, especially after all the stories of like abductions and weird stuff. But I guess I just want to know, like, so much that I'm willing to face my fears a bit. And it's a fascinating subject. I just wish I knew what was going on up there. Maybe someday. Or maybe not. On some of our previous adventures, we've found fascinating places that make us wonder even more if there was indeed a connection between the ancient people who inhabited this area and them seeing unusual things in the sky. One of those discoveries was found on Google Earth and then scoped out with a drone, and it appears to be a geoglyph reminiscent of the astronaut or spaceman geoglyph, which was found and associated with the Nazca Lines in South America. They both even appear to be waving with one of their arms, like they're saying hello. Another site that makes us wonder is one we have referred to as Sky House, which is located in a place so incredibly high and steep up on a narrow mountain that you would likely need ropes to get up there unless you are an extremely skilled climber. Could they have possibly been going up to that Sky House to try to get closer or communicate with the star people? Something else I want to mention is that I'm friends with a guy named Jeremiah who has been investigating the anomalous phenomena in this area for many years, and we are very thankful and grateful that he has given us permission to use a few of his pictures that he took. One is of a fascinating pictograph that reminds me of some kind of UFO, and the other pictures are of what appears to be military helicopters escorting a UFO near one of the big hotspots in this area close to where a lot of people believe there is a secret base. I've heard stories of a secret military base and presence in that area since I was a little kid, and I've heard so many stories from so many different people over the years that it really adds up. This is why I think many, if not most, of the sightings around here are probably experimental military craft. Though Sedona is such a beautiful, unique, and mysterious place that I tend to think that there are still other genuine, anomalous, and perhaps even extraterrestrial things going on here as well. In our next episode, we are going to do another video on this subject of UFOs and weird paranormal things around Sedona. So check back next week if you'd like to see and learn more about this subject. Also, please like and subscribe if you enjoy or appreciate what we are doing, and any comments are much appreciated. We would love to hear your stories or thoughts. And as usual, thank you so much for joining us. These adventures are so much better with you coming along on these journeys with us.